with us in the studio now. You'll also be meeting Carlos Padilla, the referee, and Roberto Duran, the new WBC welterweight champion. Right now, Ray, what have you been doing during the intervening days?
Just really relaxing. I took my wife to Hawaii, and we had a nice time there. As far as any other things, I've been pretty much reevaluating the situation, and I'm just putting pieces back together.
How is your wife? She was so upset at ringside and afterwards.
Yeah, the fight took a lot out of it because it was the first time she ever, saw me lose a fight. But she's okay now. She's fine. She's home with little Ray. No problem.
Any bitterness over the decision?
Not at all. We accept, what the judges saw. We, you don't have to take the bitter with the sweet, so there's no bitterness at all.
There's a point I'd like to make right now to our viewers. When we called that fight, it was called a split decision, and there was one apparent draw rendered by one of the judges. That was Paletti, the Italian judge. In point of fact, his scorecard was corrected some 2 hours later, and he had voted a 1-point edge, he stated, for Duran. So it became an unanimous decision for Duran. Meantime, we're going to look at highlights from rounds 2, 5, 11, and 14, with you analyzing over. Okay? Sure. Let's go then to the tape, and let's pick up with round 2.
This round here, I was hurt by left hook.
That was it.
It was very clean, and here I'm backing off. I'm trying to clear my head. Duran was throwing a number of body shots. He used his weight, his head a great deal, and what I was trying to do was to get my head back together.
This was later in round 2, by the way.
Yes, it took 2 or 3 rounds, Howard, to get my head clear, and I just wanted to fight Duran inside.
Now, Padilla did not split you then.
Well, I knew from that point that it was going to be a lot of fighting against the ropes.
Now, this was the 5th round, when your head had cleared and you began to take over.
I found that I could hit Duran with body shots, left hooks, and I knew that he respected me. From here on out, Duran respected my punching ability. But the main thing was to continue to throw punches. Duran is not that easy to hit like a lot of people think he is. He is very elusive.
Did you see Padilla there? Just slapped at the gloves, didn't separate you.
Well, then I think, like now, I'm not concerned with the referee because I know it's just me and Duran now. I just figure I have to deal with his particular style, his strategy, and the things that he do to me.
Now we come to round 11, and you have already mentioned how hard Duran is to hit. I have never seen you miss so many blows as you did.
As I view the fight, Howard, I see that the left hook that I was throwing, I missed quite often. I also realized that throwing shots to the body, I could have scored a lot more.
Now here's round 14, and again you're going to see yourself missing.
Well, Duran, he kept his head low. He stayed in my chest. The left hook again missed. I was trying to throw combinations, start from the body, work my way up to the head, but his head never really was there.
Now right there, Padilla did break you. Would the fight have gone differently, do you think, if he had broken you more frequently the way he just did?
I could have gotten off more cleaner blows. I would have more time to work my combinations.
There was your bowler.
I like that punch there.
That was a punch utilized by Kid Gavilan and another fighter, Seferino Garcia, many years ago, my friend.
But Duran, he was just a fighter. This fight turned into a wrestling match. It was not really a boxing match. It was a wrestling match the whole time.
Well, those were some highlights that pointed up, I think, the essence of the fight. Do you regret now your strategy, toe-to-toe?
No. I had a strategy, and I planned it, and I figured that it would work. I still feel that I had the edge. Very, very close fight. I mean, it was so close you couldn't put a thread through it. But I felt that I punched Duran. Certain rounds, Duran threw punches that really didn't land flush. I threw more punches to the body. People are not used to me fighting inside. They're so used to me moving, Howard. So I think it was very hard for the judges to, score the fight. because they're so used to Sugar Ray moving all the time. And when I stood flat-footed for 15 rounds, I think it was a shock to a lot of people.
Would you fight him the same way again?
No, because this particular time, I know for a fact that I can move on Duran, not much, just enough to keep him off balance a little bit more. This particular time, I was flat-footed the whole time. I did not give him in a lateral position, no lateral movement. I went straight for Duran. And I figured that I could take Duran apart in the later rounds, which you notice in the later rounds, he didn't throw that many shots. He didn't throw too many punches in the later rounds. What puzzled
me, you remember our interview before the fight, which our viewers have seen earlier, in which you said you were going to move to your right, that Duran had... You didn't do it.
You know, I really couldn't do it.
That's the point I wanted to get to.
I couldn't move to
As long as Duran was fighting the way he was fighting and was allowed to do it, isn't that what nullified you? It wasn't the failure of your strategy. It was Duran being able to keep you the way he kept you.
It kept me from moving to the right because whenever I started, he would pretty much cut the ring off, but then again, I could have moved to the left. But we stayed so close together. I mean, his head was in my face the whole time, in my chest. He threw punches from the sides. But, see, I don't want to sit here and say, hey, I got so many excuses, because I have none. But it's a different story. I read reports that Duran will move up in weight, try to emulate Henry Armstrong. But I'll be right behind him. I want to fight Duran again. I really do.
You do?
My way.
That's what I wanted to hear.
My way.
Okay. Well, we'll be joining, Ray and I, Carlos Padilla, when we come back in just a moment.
Saturday on Heat.
This is Carlos Padilla, the referee of the Leonard Duran fight. He came to this fight with widely recognized credentials. After all, he had been the referee of Ali Frazier, third time around, the thriller in Manila. He had been criticized by Vito Antuofermo, who claimed that Padilla had interfered with Antuofermo's attempts to infight when Antuofermo fought Alan Minter for the first time. All of this was widely reported by the press. And there was a meeting before the Leonard Duran fight involving Jose Suleiman, the president of the World Boxing Council, Carlos Padilla, and the three judges. Now, first of all, and these are going to be very direct questions, Carlos, with all the reports by the press before the Leonard Duran fight about would Duran be allowed to fight the fight his way, or were you going to interfere the way you did with Antuofermo? Were you intimidated? Did you go into this fight feeling you had better not break the fighters apart?
No. Every fight that I refereed, I just do my own judgment. I was not intimidated.
Why was the meeting held by Jose Suleiman with you and the judges, and what was discussed in that meeting?
Actually, it's not a meeting. It's just a briefing because, you know, the three judges and me, we go to Suleiman's room, and, you know, because this is a big fight, you know, you cannot think that he's worried that, you know, he briefed us to do our best.
I'll tell you what troubles me. Even before your meeting with Suleiman, Carlos Aleta, the sponsor of Duran, manager, if you will, and Don King, the promoter, met with Suleiman because Aleta had said Duran has to be allowed to fight the fight his way. Did Suleiman in his meeting with you refer to that earlier meeting with Aleta and King?
I never met Aleta or Dan King in Montreal.
And Suleiman didn't mention to you in any way, you must let Duran fight the fight his way?
No.
You're satisfied that you broke the fighters enough? You saw the way Duran fought.
Well, the way I separate the boxers, especially the category of Leonard and Duran, they are really great boxers. It's too early, you know, they're still strong. So what I do is I just tap the hands. If I cannot lose the hands by tapping it, I separate it. That's
Now,
my...
You just watched the highlights we showed. Just now, you were up in the control room before you joined Ray and May. You did just tap the gloves, as you just noted, in the earlier rounds. You did show a tendency, to some degree, to break the fighters in the later rounds. But still, Duran fought that whole fight, and you saw it. Barging in, the head down, using the head, the shoulders, the arms, everything. He'll lean on you, crowd you, muscle you. Don't you think you should have broken them more?
Well, I didn't see it that way. You know, I see it's a good fight. And, you know, because Duran is smaller, that's what I think. So he has to get closer.
Do you have any questions you want to ask the referee?
Yeah.
Ray?
Well, the only thing that I really didn't like within the fight was the fact that on the breaks, Duran would commit a foul. He would throw a punch. But I knew that maybe it's just instinct of a fighter, so I didn't squawk too much about that. But Duran kept his head within my chest. But see, like I said, Howard, I don't want to sit here and say, hey, you know, these fouls were committed. I'll just say the next time around, I'll pretty much do my own thing.
How would it have been possible for you not to go into this fight affected, influenced to some extent by everything that had appeared in the papers?
Well, you know, Howard, that's the way a referee. Before the fight, you know, some are asking, how do I feel? If I'm nervous, you know, I said, no, I'm relaxed. Because the bigger the fight, I'm more confident. What in my mind is to do my best. And the referee, you know, especially the break, you know, how to break, it develops during the fight. And it depends upon the boxer.
Let me ask you a question. Let's assume these two men fight again. Ray has said he wants to fight Duran again. Let's assume you were the referee. Would you referee the same way, or would you change your tactics?
Well, it depends upon the situation. It depends.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, during the fight, the referee's movement and the movement of the boxers, I don't know how to explain it. You know, you just do it in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it develops. Like when, you know, when one boxer's hands is tied, so you could just slap it. But when they are on the clinch position, and you cannot take it by slapping, so you have to separate them.
Okay. I thank you for coming by. I do.
Thank you also, Howard.
Hold yourself together. All right, thank you too, Ray. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And so, we'll be back in just a moment with the new champion, Roberto Duran. See you, fellas. We'll be talking, of course, with Roberto Duran through his interpreter in just a moment. But first, because the scoring, the official scoring of the Leonard Duran fight was so terribly close, I'd like to bring to your attention the official scorecards. There were 3 judges who did the scoring. There was no voice in the scoring by the referee. Judge Baderow, on the 10-point must system, gave Duran 6 rounds, Leonard 4, called 5 even. Duran, 146 points, 144 for Leonard. For a losing round, each fighter got 9 points. Judge Paletti scored incredibly 10 rounds even, 3 for Duran, 2 for Leonard, and so it was 148 Duran, 147 Leonard. The more familiar to Americans, British judge Harry Gibbs scored at 6 rounds Duran, 5 Leonard, 4 even, 145 Duran, 144 Leonard. So quickly, may I go to the champion, Roberto Duran, through Luis Enriquez, his longtime friend and interpreter, and ask you, Luis, was Roberto surprised then, and is he still surprised now at the closeness of the scoring?
Thank you, Howard. Sé, Howard, que si está sorprendido de que al final de la pelea el resultado fue tan cerrado.
Bueno, sí, porque yo creo que gané más amplia.
Yes, I was surprised because I think that I won much easier.
There has been talk of Roberto moving up in weight classification. Leonard says if Roberto does that, he'll follow him. He's determined to get a rematch. A, will he move up in weight classification? B, will he give Leonard a rematch?
Se han oído conversaciones y rumores de que posiblemente pelees en un peso o que subas de peso. Leonard dijo en este mismo programa, si Duran sube de peso, yo subo de peso. Y segundo, si sucede lo que se piensa, ¿cuándo piensa darle una revancha a Leonard?
Primero, que ahora mismo yo no estoy pensando subir de peso. Y tercero, que mi promotor ahora es Don King, ya no es Bovaro. Así que cuando diga, yo estoy dispuesto a hacerla cuando él quiera, porque esta vez lo va a tirar más rápido.
First of all, I'm not thinking of going up in weight. And second, my promoter is Don King, not Mr. Aaron, so at the moment, I will have to speak to Mr. King and my manager and discuss going up in weight.
But will he give Leonard a rematch?
Piensa darle una revancha a Leonard.
¿Cómo no?
Why not?
Si hay plata, ¿por qué no?
If there's money,
Si él no me la quería dar a mí.
he didn't want to fight me. So if there's money, I'll fight him anytime.
Ahora sí yo voy a pedir billetes.
Now I'm going to ask for some money.
Mm-hmm. All right. Will he fight Leonard the same way again?
Piensa pelear con Leonard de la misma manera.
No, como él venga.
No, depending on how he comes to me.
Will he knock him out this time?
Right.
Okay.
Esta vez sí lo
You
le
didn't even
reviento la vida.
This time I'm going to just really destroy him.
All right. Does he
Esta vez yo voy a
feel,
estar mucho mejor y me voy a preparar mucho
I will
mejor
be-
a mi modo.
I will be much better my own way.
does he feel Carlos Padilla, the referee, helped him, Roberto, let him fight his fight?
¿Tú crees que el referee Carlos Padilla te ayudó a dejarte pelear de tu manera?
No, no mucho.
Not
No
much.
mucho.
Not much.
No me dejó hacer lo que yo quería a mi modo.
He didn't let me do my thing my way.
What didn't he let him do?
¿Qué es lo que
Roberto
no te
was
dejó
all
hacer?
over.
Cada vez que él me abría, él me acomodaba como para que Elena me metiera la mano así de sorpresiva, que me pudiera meter
He used to,
o sea, me puede
Un gancho.
meterme una mano rápido y noquearme, yo tenía que estar vivo.
he used to open up both of us, but giving Leonard the advantage so Leonard could hit me in the infight. So I had to be fast enough not to get hit.
Leonard says that he hit on the brakes.
He said, Leonard, que tú pegaste cuando abrieron.
No, dile que,
No,
que
no,
digo
no,
yo
no,
que,
no.
que sea hombre y sepa hablar.
Tell him to be a man and to speak the truth.
He was a man. He admitted that
Él dijo que me iba a
Roberto,
matar, ¿no?
I must tell you, he admitted that Roberto's skill in cutting off the ring stopped his movement, and he admitted that Roberto is a master at slipping punches, bobbing and weaving. And that's what made Leonard miss so
Así
much.
que él se portó como un hombre en la entrevista que él aceptó que tú eres un máster cortando un ring.
Weren't those skills of Roberto's the key to the victory?
Él cree que esos puntos fueron los puntos en que tú ganaste la pelea. Cortando el ring, metiendo golpe uno izquierdo, pasando golpe.
Tenía que hacer así porque él no me dejaba pelear, me tenía muy amarrado.
I had to do
Parecía
that.
una araña.
The referee wasn't really letting me fight my way, so I had to do that.
Okay. It was a memorable fight. I don't know whether or not it was a great fight, but it was a
Fue una pelea
memorable fight.
memorable.
Right now, let's take a look at the welcome home that Roberto got when he went back to Panama City. Huge crowds at the private airport in Midtown. Roberto emerging, wearing the familiar cap and showing the crowd his WBC welterweight championship belt. The fight is history now, and Roberto has already been called the fighter of the prior decade. As you look at him right here in our ABC studios, we congratulate him again on his victory, and we agree this is one of the greatest fighters, inch for inch and pound for pound, of all time. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, Howard.
Take care, man. And so the wrap-up. Leonard against Duran. You've seen the fight in its entirety. You could have scored it for yourselves as we went. You've met the three people, Leonard, Padilla, and Roberto Duran. Thank you very much for being with us. I'm Howard Cosell. The executive producer of ABC Sports is Rune Arledge. Today's show was produced by our coordinating producer, Dennis Lewis. The Duran-Leonard fight was directed by Chet Forty, studio director Lou Volpicelli, coordinating director Joe Assetti, associate director Jeff Cohan, studio technical directors Gary Boyarsky and Tom Bird. Tomorrow morning, be with ABC Sports exclusive live coverage of the prestigious British Open Golf Championship beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern and Pacific, 9 a.m. Central Time over most of these ABC stations. Travel arrangements made through promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. That's what friendly skies are all about.